Alright, back into the golden building we go. Yeah, it's about time to able to become richer again. Well, not until whenever we're able to actually sell this building though, Pinkie Pie, but the thing is though is the fact that it belongs to different properties. Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here.
And I'm Pinkie Pie here. Hey Pony and everyone else out there, welcome back for some more of the Maxi Toys videos.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Party for the Nintendo Switch.
So, previously in the weekend, but in forms of the previous weekend, we managed to able to get done quite a bit of a close game at the end with the forms of Watermelon Walkabout. And today for this particular, or in this case for this entire weekend, is the fact that we're about to be playing through the final board in the partner party mode in the Super Mario Party game. And that will have to be Tantalizing Tower Toys. So, yeah, it's basically just Chemic's Tantalizing Tower, but except the fact that it doesn't says Chemic's name on here. Meaning, about the fact that we might actually still come across into the exactly same gimmicks as the forms of how it does it on the Mario Party version, but there are some slight differences in order to actually just to see of what the board itself looks like. So even then, as you can tell by this point, is the fact that we are actually playing us, by the forms of how this particular team system is concerned, it's still the Hasbros basically, but there are some slight differences, is that as you can tell, the Mario Brothers have been completely controlled by these computer players, meaning that we are about to be playing as a different team this time around though, because we are playing as Wario. And as for our partner companion, will have to be Waluigi, because for God's sakes Nintendo, please make them as a their own game for the Nintendo Switch, most notably for Waluigi, because we haven't got a Waluigi his own game for ages. Yeah, at least ever since back in 2000s or something. Yeah, probably for true. And same applies for Wario, for able to actually make his platformer game again, just because of how the fact that it's been about, since, a decade since we actually have a Wario platformer game since Wario Land The Shake Dimension for the Nintendo Wii. Well, at least it's probably for the true, for the better. Well, because of how the fact that, well, despite the fact that, well, we've already had Wario Land game for the Wii U downloadable version, which is considerably the retro Wario Land game, which is Wario Land 4, and especially noticeable that we have a WarioWare type of game, which is Game & Wario, despite the poor sales, and especially noticeable with mixed reception compared to the previous WarioWare games, including before that, which is WarioWare Gold for the Nintendo 3DS. So, consecutively as such, at least we actually got those titles. Well, technically if you want to count Wario Land The Shake Dimension for the Nintendo Wii U download version, yeah, at least they got that. So, yeah, that's as far as I can see how this will go. So, in case if you do not know for this point already, even though despite the fact that this was entirely focused on this weekend, even though that one part was going to be uploaded during today was the 20th of August, so in this case tomorrow, that it will be Easter Day tomorrow. So even then though, hope you guys are able to actually enjoy Easter basically. Because of that though, you might as well able to actually get yourselves, well, we'll mention more on that as soon as we get to the next part of this. So, and quite frankly though, this will be the final time we're going to be seeing the partner party board, as far as you guys can clearly tell, because obviously that, this is the final board. I still really wish if they actually bring us to more anything else for that matter, because I'm kind of ashamed about the fact that there's only 4 boards each in between these two modes, which are, Mario Party mode and partner party. Yeah, which is kind of a shame, because I kind of wish there's more variety on them, especially with the forms of like some DLC's predictions, but truth be told Pinkie Pie, it still doesn't say on it. Yeah, which just kind of sucks, but even then, that's as far as I can say about it. So yeah, to top it all off though, Pinkie Pie, is the fact that there are quite a lot of things worth mentioning. Oh yeah, because of how the fact that, after all that we actually managed to felt really better now, after the forms of while Piglet was still practically rough around the edges ever since in his, current Let's Play of Super Luigi Galaxy at this point now. Yep, because of that though, he's now going to be moving on to Super Luigi Galaxy now, so, But at this point in time, about the fact of the matter is though, before Nintendo's E3, until like, 2 months time, so we're really hoping that we can able to actually see some of these exciting parts along the way. But for now on though, we'll mention some of the parts until, well, as soon as we're able to describe Tantalizing Tower toys. Obviously, the actual entire gimmick about this board, it plays almost exactly like how it did on the Mario Party version, although there might be some slightly differences, as you can tell, because obviously we have to do it with a grid-based system. And in addition with those kinds of stuff, about the fact of the matter is though, is that you're still able to come across into these, swamp spots, which basically you still need to acquire some coins until you're able to actually bypass them completely. And to top it all off, that there might be some these little blue arrow little pillars that you have to stumble across. But in order to actually get from one place to another, is the fact that not only do you able to actually do like, there are 2 different sides of the board, which you can either go from the left side or the right side, is the fact that in order to actually get from one place to another, that not only do you need to able to pay some coins to able to actually bypass the swamp sections, but it's also because of how the fact that some specific situations like this one here, like if the star space is now moved onto a different spot, well, you need to get onto the happening space in order to actually get on top of the actual, like, well, somewhat of a second floor, until you're able to actually get to that certain point. And then as a result though, in order to actually make up there, is the fact that much like in Watermelon Walkabout, is the fact that we need to able to land on that specific happening spaces until you're able to make it happen. Yeah, kind of annoying though, especially with the grid-based system as far as I'm concerned with, but again, you have to be really dead on with that particular spot you have to land on. Yeah, probably true for that, Pinkie Pie, definitely true. So, yeah, you probably get the idea of how this board actually plays out, even though, despite the fact that the actual goal is practically the same, all with, trying to get the stars and all that, but the biggest difference is here now is the fact that the actual star space can able to move someplace else, as opposed to one spot in the forms of an Chemix Tantalizing Tower. So, because of how the fact that you need to rely on coins for not only just bypassing those swamps for specific shortcuts, but it's also because of how the fact that you can able to actually determine how you can buy not only 1, but 2 stars. Well, including 3 stars if it goes to like the last 3 turn events. Oh yeah, that might be true there. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that part right there. So yeah, let's just get into the forms of how the fact that, although you still need to worry about the forms of that chain chomp trap, but the biggest difference is here though is the fact that I feel like that particular chain chomp event is pretty luck based this time around though, because obviously this is all grid based system as opposed to like jointed path compared to the forms of how it does it in the Mario Party mode, that you can't really tell if you're going to be safe or not. So as a result though, there might be some like 50-50 chances in between you might actually accidentally activate him, or in this case, in some cases, you might not be, because even then, there's gonna be rare a few times that how the fact that will occasionally will happen right there. So obviously Mario got his first ally, which is Dry Bones. Hopefully we can able to get more allies compared to the forms of the previous boards, and as a result of that kinds of stuff, I think we should probably get Yoshi for this turn. Well, if depending of such, because if even then, I'm gonna assuming that our teammate Waluigi might actually get close to it. So, yeah, you get the idea for that part. And speaking of which is the fact that there was actually a key in this board, and just like in the forms of how it does it on, let's just say Domino Ruins Treasure Hunt, and especially noticeable with Watermelon Walkabout, there's only 1 item pickup throughout the board, but the biggest difference is here is the fact that, well, unlike in the other 3 boards, that you normally get yourselves a star if you manage to get onto that special event space. However though, this time around though is the fact that this board doesn't have a star reward if you manage to able to take the key onto that particular gate key, or in this case for that gate. So yeah, generally speaking, about the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that, well, the only reward you can get if you manage to open up the gate, which there are 4 red coins for double the amount of your coins amount, or you can potentially try to land on that, for that little versus space or item space, if you will. So, yeah, that might be the only rewards you can only get into, so... And luckily for us, though, is the fact that we actually got ourselves 2 allies, so... Yeah, which is one which we actually already got, which is Yoshi, and another one that Waluigi did manage to get, and that was Koopa Troopa. So, this might be give us a good advantage whenever we come across into a team-based minigames, so... But not right now, though, because after all, we are playing through Juice Box after all, so... Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait for the 1 versus 3 minigames anytime soon, especially whenever there are some minigames we have not played yet. Yeah, mainly with the forms of the free-for-all minigames to topple all off, but even then though, there are some other modes need to be focusing on first. Mainly with, River Survival, and especially noticeable with Soundstage, and several others too. Yeah, probably true for that regard. So, yeah, let's get into the actual real treatment when it comes to, like, although, there's actually that little, capsule machine thing, just like in the forms of how it does it on Chemic's Tantalizing Tower, but the biggest difference is here is the fact that I feel like there might be some that specific item that you need to acquire in order to actually make that thing happen, because even then, although we don't exactly know how do we get that specific item in order to actually get from here, but we'll mention more details onto this before we're able to actually continue on with the entire board. So looks like they got the matching bonus, and as a result, I assume to say, oh, they don't even make it. Well, predictably for Mario, or other than the fact that they got himself a door key, if you will. So generally speaking that, in order to actually oh, there goes the actual event right there. But then again, it's entirely random though if you manage to able to accidentally unleash him. So generally speaking that you might actually accidentally just manage to able to lose coins in the process. So yeah, that's generally a luck factor going on right there. So yeah, kind of like how he did on the Watermelon Walkabout. But at least unlike in that board, that it doesn't take you back to the start. So at least it got that. Yeah, to save up that much for the truth. So anyways though, so yeah, I think we should probably go ahead and use the Yoshi dice block once in a while. And I believe Waluigi's gonna able to keep his normal dice block as it is. So yeah, as a result though, I'm pretty sure we actually did play through, we did show off every single characters at this point so far in this game. So we're at least expecting by the forms of some DLCs to be happening, but turns out it still wasn't because of how the fact that ND Cube is responsible for all that stuff. So, yeah, and I believe I get the feeling that it does require a special item, which appears to be a capsule ticket, which I believe in order to actually get to that, is the fact that there is actually the item shop that is right near to the bottom right corner. Yeah, in order to actually get to it though, is the fact that we need to be on the lower level, and then you have to go onto the far right side of the actual board. And then, that way you can able to actually get to that item space, which, or in this case for that item shop, if you will, which I believe this might actually functions the same way for how it does it on the, the actual item shop in the Mario Party mode, especially with, Chemic's Tantalizing Tower, if you will, that, although the only slightly difference is, although it might be slightly similar, but, ultimately though, is the fact that you have to land on that specific space, just like in forms of most of these item shops, specifically in the Watermelon Walkabout board. Well, to be fair, Sonic, there was only one item shop on that board. Yeah, which is probably true. Because obviously it might, functions the same way for how it does it in Star Rush and the Top 100, despite the fact that in, Mario Party, the Top 100, and the, Star Rush, that, if you manage to land on that, Shy Guy shop, then at least you can able to actually buy items from here. Well, generally speaking such, Pinkie Pie, that might be a little bit more sensible or something, so... And obviously, just like in Chemic's Tantalizing Tower in the Mario Party mode, you can usually just manage to play this board for about 10 turns or 30 turns by the actual maximum. So, yeah, I kinda wish that they actually did that for the rest of the boards of this game, but that's not the case here. Yeah, kind of a shame really, because even then though, that I really do appreciate about the fact that with, with the Mario Party mode, they did manage to able to bring back some of these classic elements from the past, ever since in the forms of the, Mario Parties 1 through 8, including the DS counterpart as well. Yeah, because in the DS game it's actually pretty good. yeah, when it comes to like the actual gameplay style, and especially noticeable with, you know, the majority of the boards for the time. And, that's as far as I could really think about this for the time. So yeah, let's just get into the forms of the news treatments out of the way. So even then, let's get started with the most exciting part recently during the events of, I think it's soon to say that I think it did happen for about 3 days ago right now. That the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that about time to able to actually have some new, features, or especially with new announcements, about the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is specifically version 3.0, meaning that not only do we able to get ourselves our, well, the next DLC character, if you will, but it's also because of how the fact that we got ourselves not one, but 2 new, mode features, which, we'll start with the main one first, by the forms of the next, DLC playable character, which we finally get a chance to play as, and that will have to be Joker from Persona 5. So, for what if managed to play as him, is actually kind of unique, even though that much like Solid Snake, and especially noticeable with Bayonetta, that Joker didn't manage to able to use the guns, just like in the forms of how it does it from, you know, the rest of the third-party characters. What is the point about the fact that they actually bring us third-party characters, but at the same time they did manage to bring them into the most deadliest weapon of all, which is by the forms of the gun? I mean, why they do that though? Although, mind you, technically, although Mega Man does seem to have the Mega Buster, but even then, though, it does like, it does manage to able to deal with like a one, pallet shot, so that makes it totally obvious for that point right there. And, as a matter of fact though, with, Joker, as far as we can able to actually play as him, and not only do we able to get ourselves Joker, but it's also we got ourselves our, the first DLC stage, which appears to be, Metros from Persona 5, about consuming to this matter, even though we haven't really looked upon Persona series for quite a long time at this rate. Yeah, just because we won't into the series at this point, because even then, well, because I would assume that Persona series was actually the RPG game or something. Although let us know in the comments below about the forms of what the actual series was all about. Well, I do know there was a Joker character, but apart from everything else though, I wasn't seem to really look up on it as much. Mainly because of how the fact that we're a little bit more different-teed when it comes to like, you know, for gaming genres, if you will, even for different game types. Yeah, stuff like, unlike, you know, Street Fighter, or anything else for that matter. Oh, sorry to say, Luigi, but you can't purchase double of those stars. So I guess that particular event doesn't seem to make it happen, so too bad for you, Luigi. But, unlikely enough, then the next star should be right near to us. Oh, sweet. Thanks, Toadette, for able to actually just warp us from, or warp the actual star space, for that matter, almost near to us. So, I think this will able to give us a good advantage to able to actually get to this point. So let's just go ahead and use the normal dice block as it is. And looks like Waluigi might actually go ahead and use himself his own dice block. So that means we can get ourselves 7 plus 1 for each. So in this case, we got 8. So, do we get a chance to land on it? Of course we have. And to top it all off, we can able to actually get ourselves our item as well. So, yeah, we can definitely expect it at this point. Yeah, so, as far as a result for the actual movesets with, Joker himself, with, Persona 5, well, let's just get into the actual most, the insane part about Joker, and that was the forms of right off the bat, the Final Smash ability, which, as far as I can recall, that it does like an instant win victory thing right there. Well, it only happens if you manage to able to set your computer players into like only one computer player. And I don't suppose it might work on everything else though, for that matter really, but it's just only for one player, well in this case like, one-on-one match, if I remember rightly. And as a result of that matter, if you manage to able to use that Final Smash as Joker, then you would able to actually make the actual match extreme automatic victory. And one thing I liked about the forms of you know, Joker, as far as the actual like from Persona 5 is concerned, when it comes to like if you manage to win a match or something, it got its own theme music in the background, just like where Cloud used to have his own victory theme from Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, it's very interesting to say the least, because even then, I kind of wish if it does that for the future DLC characters as far as I'm concerned. But again, we'll find things out until whenever it gets to the point until this year's E3. So, but even then, though, we're now down to like 4 DLC characters left, especially with the 4 stages to go. So even then, though, that will be the entirely in the complete set. So, oh really? That was really bad timing right there. Yeah, especially because after all, we got ourselves the dreadful one. But oh well, what can you do? So yeah, I think that's as far as we can able to think of when it comes to Persona 5 Joker as a playable character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, even though again, that it did recently came out in 3 days ago now. And speaking of such, let's move on to the forms of the other modes that we can able to discuss. Which, for instance, we got ourselves the video editor, which feels kind of like the same way for how it does it in Windows Movie Maker, but except the fact that it's on the Nintendo Switch device this time. So even then, though, you can able to actually like customize your own video clips on the actual Super Smash Bros. Clips. You know, kind of like how it did on most of these Smash Bros. Videos these days back in the past. But now we can able to do it properly, but this time around though with the Nintendo Switch controls and all that stuff. So that's pretty interesting all in all, but we might give this a shot though, if at least we could give this a try. And finally, the most important aspect of the forms of version 3.0, and finally, they bring back into the forms of Stage Builder ever since in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, especially noticeable with Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Wii U at long last. And I'm quite happy about this, is the fact that, well, I'm happy to say, is the fact that it does it so much more improvement over the likes of how it does it on the Wii U version, in my opinion. Because, well, it's nothing too awful or anything on the Wii U installment, but it's just that, well, in order to actually create most of these shapes, when it comes to like the stage builder, you have to use the stylus every single time. Well, apart from that though, at least the Nintendo Switch installment with, you know, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, at least it does give you like two different options you can able to actually decide. Like, number one, the game encourages you to able to actually recommend to use the handheld mode, just for the sake of the actual drawing skills. And there's also method number 2, that you can able to do it with your controller. So, yeah, generally speaking, that's as far as we can able to think about. So, yeah, as far as the actual stage builder of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is concerned, it feels incredibly identical to the forms of how it does it on, let's just say, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. But the noticeable difference this time around, though, is the fact that you can now able to actually move some platforms or what have you, which I think I actually do appreciate about this stuff, because even then, that you can able to now move these little obstacles in, let's just say, in the actual platforming department. And aside from that, they also did manage to have ourselves a unique feature with the stage builder, which thankfully now is the fact that you can able to actually now add it in a multitude of textures, and especially noticeable with you know, different background images based off although as far as I can tell, it's most likely based off from the previous stages from the past. So yeah, if you have some like fun and excitement stage you can able to create, then you can able to actually put in the actual background image of let's just say Rainbow Cruise from Super Smash Bros. Melee in the actual background, and then you can able to make your custom stage with it. So even then, that just makes it a little bit more interesting and dynamic in Fury. And what's also pretty nice as well is the fact that you can now actually add it in the actual background textures. So, well, at least in terms of the actual stage platform. So yeah, that's just very interesting to say the least. And yeah, there's also you can able to test the stage, which I'm sure enough that if you think that you've not done with it yet, then it's pretty self-explanatory, kind of think about it. And I suppose maybe the final thing we should probably able to mention with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, as far as the actual, like, the update is concerned, well, there is now a share content by the forms of how the fact that you can able to actually share content with everyone across the world, including those actually the actual smartphone app with Nintendo Switch Online membership, or in this case, Nintendo Switch Online app, and basically it shows us some more details about Smash World. So, that's as far as I'm really concerned about this for the most part though, so that's as far as I can say with the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, version 3.0 update. So even then though, we're really excited, don't you think about it, Sonic?
Yeah.
Ready? Yeah.
So anyways, let's do a high five thingy right here, and sure enough we'll get some more coins in the process, so...
But that doesn't stop there, however, though, Pinkie Pie, with the actual news and updates and everything.
Oh, what does that mean, Sonic?
Well, turns out there's actually more news they're able to actually discuss upon. Like, for instance, for example, more gameplay footage has been shown off on Team Sonic Racing game so far, which, quite frankly though, we've only got about a month left until the game comes out for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4, so I'm most likely excited for that game. Especially about the fact that how different this game can be, but even then we'll see what happens there. So, in this case, we actually come across into ourselves, let's just say a Sky Road, or the Sky Road, type of, stage like that. Which is probably true in theory, though, but even then, though, that's as far as I can really try to think about to ourselves for that point. So, yeah, that's that. And, yeah, we're most likely excited for that, as what Sonic already mentioned about this before, so, yeah, you know. And aside from that, though, that's as far as I can say. So, yeah, let's just move on to different news and all that stuff, which will have to be by the forms of related to, the second Mega Drive, Mini. Which, in this case, to be more specifically, in our country version of it. So, in this case, at the moment for this point, even though it's kind of hard to explain, but apart from that though, there are some more games that's been shown off with the forms of the Sega Mega Drive Mini, and that will actually be by the forms of, let's just say, 10 of those games as far as I'm aware, even though, again, we haven't really exactly looked upon this stuff yet, ever since when the actual systems first launched, so, generally speaking, that's as far as I can usually say about it, and as far as from that, well, they actually did add in, sure enough, they did manage to add in 10 more of those games on the actual, second Mega Drive Mini, which there are, Castle of Evolution, or in this case, Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse, which we haven't exactly got that game yet on the actual cartridge version of the game, and, we might actually give that a go once that comes out. And there's also World of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. And, again, just like Castle of Illusion, we haven't exactly tried that game, but again, once that, you know, the actual console mini comes out rather, then we might actually give that a go. And also, there is, Streets of Rage 2, and, well, we've already technically got Streets of Rage 2 on the forms of the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, so there's no point for Able to actually just realize about mentioning about that kinds of stuff. So, and there's also Earthworm Jim 1 that's about to be on the actual Mega Drive Mini. Well, at least technically we've already got that on the Nintendo Wii's Virtual Console version, so yeah, at least we got that. So, and also let's not forget about the forms of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yeah, generally speaking, because of how the fact that we've actually already got Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on the actual list, and there's also Shinobi 3, and there's also Super Fantasy Zone, and also there is Thunder Force 3, and also Lance Stalker, and finally Predator, I'm assuming? Maybe, I don't know exactly what the actual, like, the 20th game is called, but even then, no, that's as far as I can really think of, so... Anyways, though, so it looks like they're about to be... Oh, look! New Super Mario Bros. 2 all over again! Even though it's kind of weird about the fact that, despite the fact that, well, whenever when Luigi did manage to able to use that item, with that, you know, that gold drink, as far as I've already mentioned about this, ever since the previous board, well, generally speaking, that Luigi might actually become gold for the first time in the Mario universe. Well, technically speaking, unless if you want to count Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS, basically, including Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, if you will, but generally speaking, that's as far as I can able to say about this here, so, well, unless if you really try to able to think about yourself with, you know, with the consist of, you know, forget what I said. So, enough about that, and let's move on to another news discussion, which is by the forms of the Castlevania series, which specifically,
the final list of the forms of the Castlevania collection, which I'm pretty sure we've mentioned about this before, that they did manage to add in Castlevania 1, which is clearly obvious, and there's also Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, and Castlevania 2, the Belmont's Revenge for the original Game Boy, and especially notable with Super Castlevania 4. And now, they actually did add in the second half of the entire collection for the forms of, for the entire Castlevania Anniversary Collection for the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 download versions. And they actually did add in several more. Like, for instance, for example, finally we're actually able to ask ourselves, but now, as far as I remember, about the fact that, do you remember on my Let's Play of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transforms, where I did manage to mention about this earlier, that I did manage to ask for, is the fact that I was really hoping that they did add in Castlevania Bloodlines / The New Generation / Vampire Killer for the Sega Mega Drive, but turns out, and, well, what am I supposed to say? Well, it turns out, as soon as we were able to actually research on it during recently, well, the actual results came true, because thank Lord, I can now finally able to actually try out Castlevania Bloodlines after several years, because I know for the fact that the Mega Drive version is actually pretty damn expensive, just because of how the fact that it's a Castlevania game, just like the forms of how it does it on, Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the original PlayStation, so... But at least they managed to able to got Rondo of Blood, and especially notable with Symphony of the Night on the original PlayStation 4 download. So at least we can able to download those to able to get more trophies and etc. Which even then, we could do that on a later time though. So just to let you know on that. And there's also the part where we actually did glad about the fact that we can now able to actually try out, Castlevania Bloodlines / The New Generation at long last, so at least we can able to probably might do a Let's Plays of these, but again, we'll see what happens there, so even then though. And the 6th game they did add in with the Anniversary Collection for Castlevania Anniversary Collection is, how do I describe it? Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. So, at least they got that, and truth be told, we actually got ourselves all of the classic Castlevania series after all. Well, there's generally another Castlevania game that did manage to add it into the forms of the Anniversary Collection, which is, quite ironically, Castlevania The Adventure for the original Game Boy. Well, technically speaking though, Sonic, at least luckily enough for us though, we did at least got ourselves the Rebirth Edition on the WiiWare, even though that's no longer available now, just because, the Wii Shop channel is dead. Oh, I really do miss that channel, don't you think? Yeah, same thing here. And, I suppose maybe the 8th and the final game they did add in with, the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, and that will have to be, strangely enough, it's, Kid Dracula. So, yeah, this is kind of an odd choice, kind of thing about it. I was expecting if they're actually going to be added in something like, Vampire Killer on the actual, MXS, or something like that. But, no, it was actually by, Kid Dracula. So, again, pretty interesting, all things considered. But, yeah, that's as far as news concerned, that's as far as we can able to think about. Although, there's actually one last thing with the forms of something worth mentioning with the Castlevania Anniversary Collection is the fact that the actual release date of the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, specifically across the world, I believe if I remember correctly, and the release date on those is the fact that, well, in the entire collection anyway, it will about to be releasing until next month also, so yeah, general quite a few surprises by those facts. So yeah, I'm really glad that I'm really looking forward to about the actual collections about the, the Castlevania games. I was really looking forward to that kind of stuff. Although generally speaking though, Pinkie Pie, we've already got, the NES trilogy, and especially Super Castlevania 4, and also let's not forget Rondo of Blood, the Japanese exclusive PC engine, and especially notable with Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and also there is, what's another game? Don't you mean Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles? Oh, right, exactly, I forgot about that. But we haven't exactly got Dracula X for the Super Nintendo. I think it's mainly obvious because of how the fact that that particular game wasn't nearly as good as Wonder of Blood was. So at least they expected from there. So anyways, let's move on to Making Faces minigames. So hopefully we can able to dominate this at this point in time. So yeah, let's get on with this. So but I digress. So yeah, that's as far as I can really think about when it comes to like news and updates and everything like that. Because even then, I'm really happy about it. And yeah, what the hell are we doing? Oh jeez, I forgot about that part. Yeah, because I first thought to myself that we actually on the mouth part, but it turns out we're on the eyes section. So yeah, that might be the automatically lost on that minigame, unfortunately. Just because, well, I wasn't paying that much attention, so... Oh well, some mistakes can happen though, Sonic. Some mistakes can happen. But oh well, at least we'll let the Mario Brothers win though, after all. Although, kind of thinking about it though, is the fact that it looks kind of messy though with our... Although, kind of thinking about it though, we actually got, you know, one-eyed Bowser. He should be like a monster by now, or an alien, if you will. Well, at least there's some consumption though anyway, but still. Alright, so conveniently enough, I think we're actually on the halfway point of this board already. Yeah, gone pretty quick, don't you think?